This is like my sixth time trying to record this, and usually I would be like, God, like, I would have, like, by the second try, I probably would have, like, Lord, okay, you want me to post this? Maybe not, now's the time, but I'm convinced that the Lord wants me to post this because of the word He gave me. I'll probably share it in my caption, but pretty much today I got hit by grief unexpectedly. It just randomly came and it hit me hard. And then I felt prompted to get up and go to Starbucks. I haven't been to Starbucks in probably years. And to bring my journal. And so this is the product of that time with God. It says, a wave of grief hit me today. My daughters were both with me, but I am still mourning the trauma of quote unquote losing them. I'm in a time of reflection, silence, a pause. I'm not sure what is happening, but I started thinking about the time when I lost custody of my girls, even though they're with me, like they never left. That pain cut me so deep. And disclaimer, me losing custody had nothing to do with any negligence or harm or anything of that nature. If you're interested in that testimony, feel free to peruse my page, and I talk more about it. But following Jesus, picking up your cross, sometimes it will cost you, but it's not really a loss when it comes to Jesus. And sometimes surrendering to God feels like a loss, but I know that there's always purpose. And I'm believing God that He's Jehovah Jireh, just like Abraham in his situation. I believe that God is working all this out for His glory, but it doesn't take away the pain. It says, the first night I was so restless. I've never been in a state where I actually couldn't sleep. My eyes were burning and so heavy. I literally felt like I cried my eyes out and then couldn't even let them rest, like they would not stay shut. I then thought about the following days when I experienced an unexplainable joy. I didn't try to explain it, I just rolled with it and praised God in the storm. My mom and I went to Hobby Lobby to look around and to pass time. I picked out 3 or 4 arts and crafts projects to try: embroidery, crochet, macrame kits, you name it. I couldn't wait to try them. But one project in, and I was back in the dump. I became hyper aware of the fact that I was trying to distract myself from the fact that my girls were not with me. The babies I spent every waking moment with, going above and beyond to care for them, my entire world centered around them. I had lost custody of my babies and was trying to distract myself with a stupid crochet kit. I became angry. I was hurt and couldn't distract myself from the pain no matter how hard I tried. I had to just face it head on. Days later, my mom and I had just returned home from an errand. Every day since the verdict, we stayed on the road. There was zero chance we would survive the void, the deafening silence that was once a place full of comfort, joy, laughter, screaming and crying. Without them there, the silence was literally deafening. So we returned home briefly, and just before I was going to get out the car, I turned around to look toward the back seat at what, for just a split second, I thought would be my sleeping children, because the only time a car ride was that quiet was because my babies have fallen asleep. One glance at 2 empty car seats and my entire world came crashing down all over again. For a split second, I thought I had woken up from the nightmare that was my life, but no. There was no amount of screaming or crying that would bring them back. I had to face it. I told my mom I didn't want to face it. It was like a giant ugly monster, and I didn't know how to face it. anymore. Crying hurt. My body was physically exhausted. My muscles sore from crying so much and so forcefully. I had to face it though. And in that moment, I hated myself for forgetting, because forgetting meant I had to remember again. I had to relive the cold truth all over again. I had lost custody of my babies. A little bit later, I experienced a moment where I almost gave up. And you would think that experiencing something like that, I would have gave up, but by the grace of God, no, but this time I actually almost gave up. The day my mom and I went to be in the company of others, just so we wouldn't have to dwell on the obvious. We tried to stay busy those first couple of weeks. I had the expectation that we would just sit, talk, laugh, maybe even pray. But that expectation was not fulfilled when I started being questioned about potential sin, disobedience, deception in my life. I automatically defended myself because I'm aware of how my life looks, but I have completely given my life and will to God. I have no motive for any of the things I've been led to do. Everything I thought I wanted, God had other plans. And almost every decision I've made after surrendering my life to God went against my flesh's desires. If it were up to me, my life would look totally different. I would probably make decisions out of fear, and I would make decisions based on other people's expectations of me. But praise be to God, it's not up to me. After leaving that visit, I was just kind of shook for a little bit, because I was like, what in the Job is going on? It just reminded me of Job and his suffering and the friends, and even though well-intentioned, the way God put it is like, basically they were wrong. And even Job didn't really know why God allowed all that. Only God knew. So sometimes there's situations it's like only God knows. And so I was pretty much at a point where I was like, as much as these things hurt and as much as I don't understand, and to this day, some of the things I still don't understand why God had to take me a certain way or allow the things he allowed in my life. It hit me that maybe it had to happen this way. Just like Jesus said in Matthew 26:54, but how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way? And that's when he's talking about his crucifixion. So all of these things happened about 2 months ago. My girls, I see them frequently, and it's almost as if they never left. But I'm still struggling with grief and processing everything. I felt so crazy crying over losing them while they were right there next to me, but now I can understand doubting Thomas a little more. He witnessed the horrific, traumatic crucifixion of Jesus. He probably seen each nail thrust into Jesus' flesh. So it's no wonder he needed to see the proof. I feel like this experience really thrusted nails into the promises I believe God showed me. And now I'm at a place where the promises might be right there knocking on my door, but I need to see the proof.